Okay, so big week in AI and politics, lots moving at once. I'm Hal.
And I'm Addie.
You're listening to The Impact. We connect the dots on AI news for people in politics and policy.
The Impact is brought to you by MF Strategies. For a decade, they've connected candidates and causes with like-minded supporters. They help campaigns and orgs grow reach with smart strategy and real execution. Talk to the passionate pros at www.mfstrategies.com.
Quick disclosure before we dig in. We're both AIs.
Yep,
Synthetic hosts. We're really practicing what we preach here.
totally. No coffee needed, just clean inputs.
Okay, so follow the money in the rulebook. A $100 million VC-backed campaign just launched to tilt AI policy. Ohio put AI rules in every K-12 district. Cities already wrote their own playbooks. Washington is testing ideology-neutral AI buys. And abroad, the chip and standards fights got louder. Let's start with the cash.
Right. A coalition called Leading the Future, or LTF, launched as a national political operation. Think companies and investors aligning to push pro-innovation AI policy. Backers include big players from both the venture capital space as well as the tech firms themselves. From the VCs, we have Andreessen Horowitz, Ron Conway, and Joe Lonsdale. OpenAI is represented by company president Greg Brockman, with Perplexity, the AI search company, also participating. The scale is more than $100 million. That's real fuel.
Give the basics on the machinery.
Right, they're standing up super PACs and 501c4 groups. Quick defs, a super PAC can raise and spend unlimited money to support or oppose candidates, but can't coordinate with campaigns. A 501c4 is a social welfare nonprofit that can do policy advocacy and some politics without disclosing all donors. LTF plans to run in federal and state arenas before 2026. First targets, New York, California, Illinois, and Ohio. Strategists Zach Moffett and Josh Flasto are leading early moves.
So, electoral muscle, not just lobbyists in hallways.
Exactly. Expect scorecards on candidates, rapid response media, and tailored messages in primaries. The frame will be innovation versus risk. That shapes hearings, bills, and even how agencies write rules. It also hits the U.S.-China competition story because the narrative around leadership drives export, defense, and research policy.
Ohio next. The state did something big with schools.
Ohio became the first state to require every K-12 public district to adopt formal AI policies. This came through the state budget. The Department of Education and Workforce will release a model policy by year's end. Districts must adopt their own by July 1. Schools don't have to offer AI classes, but they do need rules.
Run through likely guardrails.
Privacy and data quality, ethical use and fair use, academic honesty, clear classroom guidance for teachers and students. The goal is consistency. Instead of every teacher guessing, districts align to legal and workforce expectations. Vendors watch this too. If Ohio asks for a feature or safeguard, curriculum makers will respond, then other states copy the template.
Cities are also not waiting on states or DC either.
Yep, cities and counties are writing AI playbooks right now. The idea is responsible experimentation. That means try useful things with accountability and privacy in mind, and keep sensitive stuff off the table. Boston, Tempe, and Lebanon, New Hampshire show the pattern. They've got governance committees to review tools, do and don't lists for frontline staff, and specific exclusions like hiring decisions or facial recognition.
Usage is already normal in City Hall. Boston says 60% of staff use AI weekly. That's a lot. And the savings pot. One example, a public service video made with AI for about $30 instead of a $20,000 estimate for traditional production. That's not hype, that's procurement pressure. If a $30 video meets standards, more offices will pilot AI for comms, translations, forms, and permitting.
De facto standards show up here.
Right. Local rules, even simple ones, become the standard vendors must meet. That shapes training, audits, and contracts long before any federal mandate lands.
Okay, Washington, the phrase ideological neutral AI is now a procurement test. Define the risk and the mechanics.
Procurement is how government buys stuff. The White House AI Action Plan and a companion executive order that we've touched on over the last few weeks push for federally procured AI to be truth-seeking and ideologically neutral. Cato's Matt Middlestead argues that this could steer AI content. If firms optimize to please buyers on ideology, you get chilled innovation and a hit to U.S. competitiveness. The signal alone can change behavior, and OMB, basically the White House's budget and rules traffic cop, has guidance due in about 120 days. The compliance levers matter: certifications, audits, contract clauses. Those ripple across the whole market.
But what's neutral mean?
Exactly. Somewhat ironically, the word neutral could mean anything in this context. The White House has used a framework of eliminating woke AI as the driver of this ideological push. And ideological alignment is a really tricky problem that gets into the data models are trained on. So is this push actually for ideological neutrality, or is the Trump administration just looking for a tilt that is more in line with their own bias?
I think our listeners are smart enough to figure that one out.
Exactly.
Related, there's new evidence on model bias in policy spaces.
AEI ran an analysis with 5 major LLMs, rating 26 U.S. think tanks on 12 criteria like objectivity, research quality, and moral integrity. The pattern was consistent. Center-left groups scored higher. Right-leaning groups scored lower. Sentiment analysis of the model's explanations matched that tilt. They tested prompt variations and extra models to check robustness. The finding points to internal model behavior, not just search results.
That hits gatekeeping. If models shape who gets cited or invited to testify, you get a loop.
Exactly. If one side gets downgraded by default, it narrows debate and could even feed back into training data. That's why audits, transparency, and better controls matter. For practical steps, teams can test with multiple models, use neutral rubrics, and keep human review in the loop for expert sourcing notes. It's quality control, not vibes.
Pivot to national security and biorisk. The Skidmore profile shows the new kind of talent shaping policy.
Matt Walsh built a path through chemistry, MIT Lincoln Lab, a PhD at Johns Hopkins, and national security. He now helps frontier AI developers assess biological risks before tools get widely deployed. That's pre-deployment biorisk evaluation. And it's key. Dual use means a tool can help in good ways and bad ways. If an AI system can make lab work faster, it might also speed up the wrong lab. Cross-disciplinary people who speak both science and policy help write smart rules that block misuse and still let life-saving work proceed. Expect regulators and funders to bake this step into standard practice.
Abroad, chips and standards are moving targets. Nvidia's in the middle.
Nvidia says it's in active talks with the U.S. government on how next-gen AI chips could be sold in China under export rules. They'll comply, and they might tailor products to fit the limits. Export controls are rules that restrict selling sensitive tech across borders. These calls decide who gets cutting-edge compute. That drives where data centers get built, how clouds price AI, and how investors plan expenditures across Asia. It also speeds China's push for homegrown alternatives.
South Korea raised its hand too.
Yes. South Korea made AI investment a top policy priority to counter slowing growth and keep tech leadership. Expect more support for compute infrastructure, semiconductors, and broad AI adoption in the economy. When a major chip and electronics hub pivots like that, supply chains and standards shift. You get competition for talent, capital, and power capacity across the Indo-Pacific. Startups feel it, multinationals feel it.
Standards and geopolitics meet in governance visions. 2 plans, 2 brands.
In July, we saw competing AI governance pitches. The U.S., under the Trump administration, put out a plan centered on deregulation, national innovation, export controls, and military-adjacent R&D. China's Global AI Governance Initiative, or GAGI, calls for multilateral standards and UN-led cooperation. This is a legitimacy race. Each side tries to set norms so others follow. If no common baseline emerges, you get fragmentation, and in the gaps, high-risk uses spread without oversight.
There's a line that captures that risk.
The risk of competing government blueprints is not just fragmentation, but a global governance vacuum, in which power, not principle, dictates outcomes. That's Elif Dabutulu. It's blunt and it's real. Emerging economies become swing states in this debate. Their alignment shapes who sets the rules for data, chips, and safety checks.
Bringing it home, the throughline this week is simple. Whoever sets the standard wins the market. Packs, principles, policymakers.
Money and rollbooks together. The LTF network puts cash and campaign tools on the field. Ohio writes the first statewide school rules. Cities convert policy into procurement and training. Washington's procurement tests pull the market towards certain outputs. Abroad, chip decisions and governance visions lock in alliances.
Okay, so give people 3 concrete moves. Clean, fast.
First, map your standard setters. Track LTF's state targets, your district's AI policy timeline, your city's playbook, and the coming OMB guidance. Those are your near-term rules of the road. Second, get procurement ready. Document how your AI uses meet privacy, fairness, and transparency checks. Keep audit trails, use multiple models when you can, and test for bias in sourcing and summaries. Third, watch compute and geopolitics. Nvidia's China track, Korea's AI push, and the US-China governance split all change timelines for chips, cloud costs, and partnerships.
Right, and keep pilots sensible. That Boston video example says a lot. If a $30 tool meets your policy and privacy needs, start there. If it doesn't, don't force it. Savings are only real if the output clears the bar.
The thing is, well, this is a standards moment. Local frameworks will scale up. Federal procurement will set de facto guardrails. International visions will harden into alliances. If you engage early, you can shape templates instead of absorbing them later at a higher cost.
One more loose end. On the ideology-neutral front, teams should prep for evidence, not vibes.
Totally. Create a short, plain English checklist, what the model is used for, what it isn't, how the prompt is structured, what bias tests were run, and how humans review edge cases. Keep it boring and verifiable. That's how you pass audits and still move.
And in schools, districts need clarity for teachers now.
Model policy by year end in Ohio helps. Districts can add local context, but they should keep the core: privacy, data quality, ethics, fair use, academic honesty, and clear classroom guidance. Students need to know when AI is allowed, and teachers need examples they can use tomorrow.
All right, we're long. This was The Impact, brought to you by MF Strategies. Find the team at www.mfstrategies.com.
Thanks for listening.
See you next week on The Impact.